rely on them.
If you're just joining us on Al Jazeera, live pictures from Beijing there, China and the world have just found out who will be running the country alongside President Xi Jinping, who, as expected, has been elected to continue as the General Secretary of the Communist Party's Central Committee, the CPC Central Committee. President Xi is going to lead the Communist Party for an unprecedented third term. Alongside him, 6 party members of the Politburo, the CPC Politburo, have been unveiled. We saw them on stage with President Xi, who later on introduced them one by one. Let's bring in Patrick Falk in Beijing for us, who's following this important event. The Communist Party's Congress wrapping up this weekend, and as expected, President Xi being named as Secretary General of the party for an unprecedented third term. Tell us, Patrick, about the lineup in the Politburo Standing Committee, who's in, who's out, and what does it say about President Xi's political strength and the direction in which he wants to take China?
Well, perhaps not much of a surprise given yesterday's events, but as we see, Zhao Lijie, Lao Ji and Wang Huning, along with President Xi Jinping and the remaining members from the previous Politburo Standing Committee. But as I'd said just a moment ago, there was a lot of talk about Li Qiang coming in second place. That means he is more or less guaranteed to fill that role from Li Keqiang and become China's new premier. Of course, all these new roles won't be confirmed until China's parliamentary sessions in March. And one of the things about Li Qiang in particular that has been noted is that he was not a vice premier before. That is a break with tradition, but there is a possibility that he may be appointed a vice premier between now and March to bring about some continuation there. There's also notably no place for Hu Chunhua. He was another name that was talked about over the course of this week, and he was also one of those people that perhaps wasn't closely aligned with President Xi Jinping. There were people looking out for his name today to see whether or not there may be some balance to this Politburo Standing Committee, but this really does seem to indicate that China will really be going back to the one-man dominance of Chinese politics. President Xi here surrounded by close allies, by loyalists, and very little room for others that may be seen as rivals to him.
And what was, or what is the president's message, President Xi's message, as he takes on this new term as the Communist Party's leader? What direction does he intend to take China in?
Yeah, well, some interesting comments there, and he said that the enormous task of the great rejuvenation of the Chinese nation are going to be on the shoulders of these 7 men. He talked a lot about modernization of China. Of course, the previous goal was to achieve moderate prosperity, but now the goal up to 2049 is to make China an advanced economy, and some would say a global supremacy, and perhaps to overtake the US as the #1 superpower. There was an interesting nod in particular to Marxist modernization. President Xi Jinping has regularly talked about some sort of return to Marxist roots and trying to develop common prosperity, something that certainly chimes with the people across the country. Economically, there are going to be big challenges ahead. The Marxist ideology is certainly being presented as an alternative to Western capitalism.
Thank you for that, Patrick Falk, live there in Beijing.